Hello everyone. Earlier in this topic, we discussed that a push or a pull on an object is called force. Thus, we can say that motion imparted to objects was due to force. Now, a question may arise, when does a force come into play? Well, let's find it out. Suppose a man is standing behind a car. No force is applied to the car at this moment. In the next figure, we can see that a man is trying to push the car from behind. Notice that car comes into a little motion after force is applied by the man. Moving on, we have two examples here. In the first one, we can see that two people are trying to push each other. Now, how do we know that who is pushing whom? Similarly, in the figure given down below, we can see that cow is trying to pull the man towards itself and the man is trying to pull the cow towards itself. Now, how do we know that who is pulling whom? From these examples, we can infer that two objects must interact for a force to come into play. Earlier, when we saw the example of the car where man was just standing behind the car and was not pushing it, we could see that car was not in a state of motion. But when the man applied the force from the behind, the car came into motion. Therefore, an interaction of one object with another results in force between the two objects. Exploring forces. Let us consider a game of tug of war. We all know in the game of tug of war, two teams try to pull the rope towards themselves. Well, when the force applied from both the sides is equal, none of the teams are able to pull the rope towards themselves. But when the force applied by one of the team exceeds the force applied by the other, they are able to pull the rope towards themselves. Another example, let us consider a man who is trying to push a box towards the right hand side. Well, alone he is not able to do that because the force is not enough to move the box. But if another person tries to help him out in moving the box towards the right hand side, the person is able to do so. Now, what if another man tries to push the box from the opposite side? Does the box come into motion? Well, no, because the force applied by this man and this man gets cancelled and the box remains in its own position, which is the state of rest. From both these examples, we can consider that the forces applied in the same direction result in addition and forces applied in the opposite direction result in the difference of the force. Therefore, when this man was trying to apply force from this side, the box came into motion due to collective effort. But when this man tried to apply force from the opposite direction, the box did not came into motion because the forces got cancelled. Similarly, in the game of tug of war, when the force applied by one of the team is more than the force applied by the other, the first team is able to pull the rope on their own side, as opposed to the case when the forces applied by both the teams are same, where none of the team is able to pull the rope towards themselves. In a nutshell, we can say that force could be larger or smaller than the other or equal to the other. Larger was the case when two people were trying to push the box, as a result of which it came into motion. Smaller than the other when in a game of tug of war, when the force applied by one of the team is less than the other, as a result of which they lose. Or equal to each other when the force applied to the box is equal from both the directions, as a result of which it stays at rest. Therefore, the strength of force is usually expressed by its magnitude.